All right, I wanted to send out this video about civics in the Washington, D.C. informational trip. For anyone that wasn't able to come or wants to go back and review it, if you have any questions, you can email me. And I start off with some information about civics, but I'll get to the information about Washington, D.C. Pretty quickly. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and start. I just want to do a little background on civics just because it's a really important year in civics, and I might not get to talk to you a lot or anything, so I just want to go over this. So civics is organized into four main areas: the organization, three branches, functions of government, the origins of the American political system, which is what we're doing right now, like the Declaration of Independence and the ideas and where we got those ideas from, the roles, rights, and responsibilities of citizens, and then ways to participate in our political system. So that is what we're doing when we are going over civics. All right. So one reason that I wanted to hijack some of the Washington, D.C. time is just to talk about the end of course exam. This is the first time that students have taken an end of course exam. It's a really important test that we take at the end of the year. So I just want to go through why it's so important. First off, student civics is a requirement in order to be promoted to high school. And the civics EOC, or end of course exam, is a final exam prepared by the state, similar to what you're used to with FSA. It is 52 to 56 multiple choice questions. But what is different about this, about the state issued test, is that it affects students' grades, whereas a lot of times like FSAs and things don't. That 1 2-hour 50 multiple choice question is 1/3 of a student's grade for the entire year. So because civics is a requirement to be promoted to high school, if students want to pass civics, they need to do well on the EOC. It's 30% of their grade for the whole year. And so that's why we're going to work so hard this year to make sure that everyone who does their best can pass the test. Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You can pause it and look at it. Let me know if you have questions, things like that. But about 15 to 20% of the questions are easy questions. Those would be like, just kind of simple vocab recall, legislative branch makes laws. And then 45 to 65 are moderate, and they can get pretty hard. And then 15 to 25% are hard, and they're or high complexity, and they're very difficult. So here's an example of like what a moderate question would be. We have a passage from Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Go back. So we have a passage from Thomas Paine's Common Sense here, and it says, what is Thomas Paine saying about the British monarchy in this quote? So they need to know about Thomas Paine's Common Sense. They need to be able to read a difficult 1700s text, and then they need to be able to analyze it to answer the question. So this is an example of like a moderate question, right? So this is a very difficult test, and that is why working our best, working our hardest, and doing our best is so important. Here would be like an easy question. Why was it difficult for Americans to change their government under the Articles of Confederation? Kids don't know that right now. They're going to have to study, learn, pay attention, study for the EOC, study for every test, do the homework. These are the things they have to remember, and this is an easy one, right? So it's a very difficult test, and it's 1/3 of students' grades for the year. Very important for them to be able to pass. So again, the way that the civics grade is calculated is 1/3 of their grade is first, second 9 weeks, 1/3 of their grade is third, fourth 9 weeks, and then 1/3 is the EOC. That is why it is so important that students keep their civics grade high this year, because if their grade is really low going into the test, the score they're going to have to score on the EOC is going to be much higher. So we need to study, do our work, be here when we can be here, and do our very best. That'll help us do better on the EOC and also ease the pressure a little bit going into it, because if their grade's higher, then the score they have to get on the EOC is a little lower. How to be successful in class. Please, high stakes. It's a high stakes test. Highest stakes they've really ever taken with it, counting so much of their grade. I have high expectations. Students need to be doing their work. They need to be paying attention. They need to do their homework. They need to be studying. Keep your notebooks up to date. Eventually, I will be offering tutoring on Tuesday and Thursdays. I haven't started that yet. I'll let you know when I do. Do your homework. It will help you for the test. Turn in your assignments. I can't stress enough that students need to be studying for their test because they have to remember hundreds of vocab words for that May test because it's a test over everything we learn all year. Okay, here's some helpful websites. My website's really good if you can access it at home. We use these throughout the year. So you can look at those if you want. All right, let's get to why everyone is here or wants to watch this video, which is Washington, D.C. I have a kind of like a presentation from Google Slides from World Strides, which is the trip that we're traveling with. I'm going to go through some of it, let them play their audio, things like that. And then at the end, I'll answer all your questions about the details. Let's get that pulled up. Okay.
In tonight's meeting, we'll tell you more about World Strides, our mission and value, and why we are so passionate about educational travel being such an important part of a student's development. We'll then watch a short video to see how much fun the students will have on the trip. Next, we'll cover all the specifics for your trip, including the many different tools that are available to help families pay for these trips, like financial assistance, fundraising, and affordable payment plans. We'll wrap up the meeting by covering the industry-leading support that World Strides provides during the trip to ensure the health and safety of all travelers. The meeting should take around 20 minutes, and at the end, you'll have all the information needed to sign your child up for this incredible opportunity. Now, let's take a look at that short video. This video is from an actual World Strides trip. Just listen as the students talk about how much fun they're having on the trip and all the amazing things they learned along the way.
Okay, so one of the things they're going to do in this little presentation is talk about World Strides. When Imagine used to go to Washington, D.C., probably a decade ago now, we traveled with World Strides. I have not traveled with them yet because I've had two trips, or I had the trip that we had planned in 2020 got canceled because of COVID. But they have been really good to work with. They refunded everyone when the trip got canceled, minus the $100 for the insurance. They've always been very helpful, and they are the Smithsonian's choice of travel groups to go with. And they've been around for decades, so they go through some of that history in here. I think the next thing is just a video kind of getting people excited for Washington, D.C.
You've learned in school how Washington, D.C. is home to many amazing sites that tell the incredible story of our country. Now, you're invited to see and feel the history, energy, and impact of our nation's capital with your own eyes. Your days will be packed from morning to night. There's so much to do in Washington, D.C. Inspiring memorials that capture our nation's history. To some of the greatest museums in the world, Smithsonian Museums, United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, Mount Vernon, and many others. You and your friends will create your own memories to share for years to come.
My favorite part has been Lincoln Memorial because I got to finally see it in real life instead of on a computer.
It was pretty cool. We got to ride in this airplane like we were actually riding one, like we got to drive it, and then we got to touch a moon rock.
I think it's really amazing how they can fit so many big, huge monuments and memorials for those people who really deserve it, and they can keep it in a way so that everyone can view it, yet it's very respectful for them.
The memorial really brought a lot of heartwarming memories back because my brother was in the Marines and it was kind of hard seeing him go all the time.
This is not your ordinary history lesson. America's past comes alive before your eyes. Reach out and touch history.
The Martin Luther King Memorial, it was really something meaningful to me because he fought for my rights, and I really appreciate that for him. So when I read a part of his speech, it made me feel really happy deep down inside.
And witness firsthand the traditions that make our country great.
Arlington is my favorite thing because like when we were changing the guards, it was so cool because they're doing everything perfectly. And I want to join the military, so I was like honored to watch that. And it like takes your breath away. It was amazing. It was a one in a million thing to see.
Your trip will be led by your own course leader to share fun facts and answer all your questions along the way.
So far, my favorite thing has been how detailed our tour guide goes into when he's talking about the monuments.
Mr. He's pretty chill. He explains stories behind it. It paints a visual picture that you can, actually see. It's pretty cool.
He probably knows everything about everything. If you ask him what Lincoln's favorite pizza was, he could probably tell you.
Whether seeing incredible sights, eating at amazing restaurants, or hanging out at your hotel, you'll have lots of time to have fun with your friends.
DC is awesome.
DC is exciting.
DC is thebomb.com.
It's a very unique experience.
Educational.
DC is amazing! When you and your friends join us in Washington, D.C., you'll watch history come alive on a travel adventure you'll never forget.
I would recommend this trip to other students because it's a really great experience. You get to see a lot of the nation's history and get to have a good time with your friends, and you learn a lot.
In tonight's meeting, we'll tell you more about World Strides, our mission and value, and why we are so passionate about educational travel being such an important part of a student's development. We'll then watch a short video to see how much fun the students will have on the trip. Next, we'll cover all. World Strides has been the industry leader in educational student travel for the past 53 years, and we're excited to share some more information about our story. We were founded by a middle school history teacher from the Chicago, Illinois area. Back in 1967, this teacher decided to take his entire eighth grade class to Washington, D.C. He and his students had such an amazing time that he decided to stop teaching and start a company that would help teachers from all across the country give these same experiences to their students. Since our humble beginnings, we've grown to be the industry leader in educational student travel. We've helped over 7 million travelers experience the world. Over 10,000 teachers from all across the country partner with World Strides each year to offer these experiences to their students. Education has always been at the forefront of our mission, so much so that in 1996, World Strides became fully accredited as an educational institution. We received this designation from the same accrediting bodies that accredit your school. This was a real game changer for us because we were no longer just a tour company. We were a school teaching through experiential learning and travel. And more recently, because of our educational mission, World Strides received the designation as the approved domestic educational travel provider of the Smithsonian. We have a vast support network in place all around the world, and we cannot wait to help deliver this amazing experience to your child. Now, let's hear a little about your specific trip.
Okay, so I know the main concern about parents is really two things: having your student go across the country on a trip. It can be very nerve wracking, and the cost of the trip. And hopefully, I know the video is a little slow and robotic there, but one thing I want you to take away from it is just that we're in good hands with World Strides. Right? They've been around for over a half a century. They're the preferred travel group of the Smithsonian. It's actually accredited as an educational institution, which actually means one benefit of the trip is students can actually get high school credit for an elective for completing certain things during and after the trip. They've had over 7 million students travel. They have thousands of staff, including night security guards in the hotel and doctors. And, I'm not the tour guide. There's a tour guide that knows so much about everything that's going to make it a really cool experience. And so it's a really good company that we're traveling with. All right. So if you look at the invitation that I sent home, there is an itinerary of what we do on the days, and it is jam packed. We go to all the Smithsonian museums and Arlington National Cemetery, Mount Vernon, and the Jefferson and Martin Luther King Memorial, and to the Holocaust Museum and the African American Museum, and the Washington Monument, and Vietnam and Korean, and we're going everywhere. We're going to the National Archives and to the place where Lincoln was assassinated. And so it's going to be a really cool trip. The price for the trip is all inclusive, which means it's going to include the transportation, which is on a charter bus. We're not flying, we're driving. The hotel, all three meals and snacks during the day. Activities during the night to keep kids, having fun, all the sites, academic credit, all the, travel insurance. It's going to include everything. Um, and so kids literally don't need to take anything except money to buy souvenirs, right? Um, and we'll get to some other details in just a second. They do
Now
offer.
that you've heard more about the trip, we wanted to share a few other important details with you, starting with the World Strides Full Refund Program. We believe that educational travel is an investment in your child's future, and the full refund program protects that investment should plans change and your child is not able to travel on this trip. The full refund program is an optional plan that you can add on at time of registration. Then, leading up to your trip, should you have to cancel your child's registration prior to the trip departure, you will receive a full refund of all the monies paid to World Strides, except for the amount you paid for the full refund program. We highly recommend you add on this extra protection when you register.
So that's up to you. That's the only thing that's an additional cost. I believe it's $115. It's just travel insurance. And, when we were first planning this trip in 2019, I kind of told my parents, I don't know if I would get that, but in the world we live in now, with everything that's going on with, the pandemic and other things, it may be a good investment for you. That it's up to you. I will tell you that when we booked the trip, all the parents who had bought the full refund program insurance, they got all their money back, no issue, no problem. And so, if your student comes, you have $900 paid, they come down very sick a couple of days before and can't go, then they get all their money back. So that's something I want to mention.
World Strides wants every student to have the opportunity to travel with their classmates at least once in their lifetime, and we're proud to offer families some great tools to help make this possible. The first is our own financial assistance program called FLAG, which provides over $2.5 million each year to families who need a little help. With just a short phone call to the World Strides customer service department, parents can find out how much financial assistance they may be eligible for, even before registering for the trip. Thousands of families receive assistance each year to help make this dream a reality for their child.
Okay, so this is one thing I definitely want to focus on today. Is I know the cost is an issue. The cost for the trip, the all-inclusive price for students, I don't know if I mentioned yet, it's on another slide, is $929. There is financial assistance. When you register, I strongly recommend you register by calling the customer service number. You can apply for financial assistance right then. It's not going to pay for the whole trip. It depends on what your qualifications are. It could pay for $100, $200 of the trip, but it's free money right off the top. So we're going to talk about some other ways we can lower that cost, because I want everyone that wants to go to be able to go and not have it be based on a financial decision, right? So we'll talk about some other ways. There's fundraising, there's scholarships. Go out. There's fundraising, there's scholarships. And there's lots of ways to make this trip affordable. World Strides provides a great way to raise money that can make it affordable as well. But the first thing you'd want to do is get the financial assistance if that applies to you. And you can do that just by calling. They'll ask some questions, let you know what you're eligible for.
In addition, we have an incredibly easy fundraising program called the Gift of Education. This program allows friends and family to make online donations to a student wishing to raise money for their trip. And the great thing is that 100% of the money goes directly to the student's individual account. Through worldstrides.fundraising.com, students can send e-cards or share links on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. In one simple click, family and friends can make a direct donation to the child's trip. Each year, we see thousands of students pay for their entire trip through these gift of education donations. And by signing up this spring, your child will have extra time to fundraise for their trip.
So this is something when we were planning our first trip that I really think we underutilized. This is a great resource. It's basically kind of like a GoFundMe uh, type deal where you can fundraise through people and online and through family and friends, and 100% of the money goes to you, right? You can send out evites. As a matter of fact, if grandma and grandpa donate $50 to the trip for, for a birthday or for Christmas, it comes right off the cost. So if you owed 800, they donate 50, it goes down to 750. So, if your student really wants to go, but you're financially struggling with it, have it be their birthday presents from you and from friends and from family. Have it be the Christmas presents, right? You can raise lots of money that way, and it comes directly off the cost. It kind of gets the kids, involved because they're asking for that for birthday, Christmas, things like that, and that's a great way to raise money.
Lastly, there are payment plans. Parents, you'll love this part. You sign up for the trip with a small initial deposit. Then your remaining balance is broken out into smaller amounts and paid monthly, which really helps with the budget. We also offer an automated payment option called Easy Pay, which automatically deducts your trip payment each month from your bank account. More information on payment plans can be obtained by calling World Strides customer service at 800-468-5899.
Yeah. So World Strides will work with you. They'll set up payment plans and even extended payment plans if you can't quite pay off the whole thing before the trip begins.
The safety and security of all travelers has always been World Strides' number one priority, and never before has this been more important than in today's new travel environment. Let's take a minute to cover a few of the many measures we have in place to ensure safe travel. As you've heard and can see here, World Strides has a vast support network in place to assist travelers while in your destination. This starts with an industry-leading operations team. This team works closely with your child's teacher to ensure all the travel arrangements are made well in advance of your travel dates. We work with only the most reputable hotel, airline, and bus companies, those that share the same safety standards that we do. During your trip, your group will never be alone. From course leaders to your motor coach driver to personnel at the hotel, there is a World Stride staff member with your group 24 hours a day. This on the ground support is further enhanced by our 24/7 Tour Central team that is available to support travelers at a moment's notice, as well as our exclusive partnership that we have with the George Washington University Department of Emergency Medicine. This Doctors on Call program provides all travelers with added peace of mind should a medical situation occur while on tour. Please see the trip information materials provided to you by your child's teacher for exact details on the health and safety measures that will be in place for your specific trip. Lastly, to keep up with today's ever-changing travel landscape, we have assembled a travel task force. This team is comprised of several individuals from the World Strides Health and Safety team, along with some outside partners like Dr. Neil Sicca, the director of the George Washington University Department of Emergency Medicine. This team takes advice from industry experts across the travel industry, as well as consults with medical experts, along with the CDC and the World Health Organization. They are constantly evaluating the travel environment and are making changes daily to our safety protocols to ensure the safest travel experience possible. You can stay apprised of all their work by going to worldstrides.com/travelsafe. We encourage you to bookmark this site and check it frequently to learn about the many steps World Strides is implementing to ensure the health and safety of our travelers. Now, before we end the meeting, let's watch one more short video. This video is from a longtime traveling teacher with World Strides. Regardless of the destination you're traveling to, these trips really do make a life-changing impact on the students, as you'll hear in this video.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
The safety and security of all travelers has always been World.
Okay, so I wanted to go over some more of the details of the trip. That kind of just gives you some ways to pay for it and some background. But I want to go over some more of the details. These are just some of the highlights we go. You can see the itinerary and the invitation we passed out. It will be a really fun trip, a really memorable trip. The cost for the trip is $929. That is based on students being in 4 to a room. And so that is what the price is based on. I'm happy to announce that if students sign up within the first 24 hours, there's a $50 discount. So that'll lower the price to $879. I also, World Strides gave me $1,000 in scholarship to pass out as well. So I'll be also offering a $50 scholarship for the first 20 students that register after the meeting. So that's a $100 discount off that price. So we've already lowered it to $829. Remember, it's an all-inclusive price. The full refund program is $115. That's the only additional cost. It's going to cover everything: food, snacks, activities, admission, guides, everything. Right. Parents can go as chaperones. Their price is slightly more because it's based on 2 parents per room, so it's $1,068. But we want as many parents that want to go as possible to go. They do have to be parents or someone over 18, and then you just have to go through the volunteer process, just like you would do volunteer at the school. There is financial assistance. Like I said, that may be $100, $120, $150. The best way to do is call. So, if you register within the first 24 hours, get a scholarship, you're down to $829. Maybe get $129 in financial assistance, you're already down to $700. Maybe you raise $200-$300 from the online gift of education donations from you and family, you're down to $400 or $500. Maybe you raise a couple $100 chocolate, you're down to a couple $100. So we can make this trip affordable. I'll apply for scholarships for students where I can. We're going to do everything we can to make it sure that it's affordable. And one of the benefits you get is high school credit is available because it's a fully accredited travel educational organization. High school credit can be available, which is a lot of parents are interested in. So we'll do some fundraisers. I learned the first time we did it, when we do big fundraisers, because we have so many people going, it doesn't work out well. We did a car wash and raised $1,000, but we paid everyone that went, and kids ended up getting $12, $13, which pays for 1% of the trip. So the best way that you can fundraise is through the World Strides Gift of Education, where you're asking family and friends to donate for holidays and Christmases and birthdays and things like that. The financial aid, if you're not asking for financial aid, you're losing maybe $100 or more right off the top. I will be applying for scholarships for students in need and helping out where I can as much as possible. And then the other thing we're going to do is the world's best chocolate. The great thing about this is the more your student sells, the more money you get. The way that works is they're chocolate bars. There's 60 in a box. You get $30 per box. In 2020, I had a student sell 10 boxes. They raised $300. So that can pay for a third or more of your trip. It's just how much chocolate can you sell to help you raise money for the trip. Every chocolate bar, you get 50 cents. So if you sell 1,800 chocolate bars, you pay for your whole trip. So through the World Strides Gift of Education self-fundraising, the chocolate sales, financial aid, and any scholarship I'm able to help you with, plus the $100 discount if you're one of the first 20 people in the first 24 hours to register. That's a lot of ways to make the trip affordable. All right, so the important information. You have to sign up for the trip by September 17th. We got a little bit of a late start. That can be extended a little, but by October, you really need to sign up for the trip if you can. The travel dates are May 23rd through May 27th. That's that last week of school that we're in. ways to register. You need our trip number. It's 191358. You can sign up online. I really recommend calling the number because they can answer any questions, help you out, and do the financial aid. All right, common questions. Students don't have to wear uniforms, but we would like them all to kind of have a common shirt. PTO is going to work on trying to help us for kind of having like matching shirts. So when in group, we're easy to see, things like that. Students will be staying with roommates of the same gender, 4 per room. Unless you pay extra for like a separate room or something, but that is what the price is based on. High school credit can be earned by completing a field journal, taking an online class when you get back, and then checking with the high school to see where that would apply. But high school credit that's awesome. The final payment date is March 9th to pay off the trip. The payments can be made in increments, and you can set up an extended payment plan if you can't pay it off by March 9th. Extend the amount of time you have to pay. We want as many chaperones to go as possible. No one under the age of 18 can go. This is a trip only for 7th grade Imagine students. So if you have like a brother or sister in like 5th grade, they can't attend. We did make an exception to invite 8th grade National Junior Honor Society students this year. So the only students not 7th grade Imagine School Town Center that can go are 8th grade members of NJHS. So if you have a student 7th grade and they have a brother in 9th grade and he wants to go, they can't go. It's only for 7th grade Imagine School Town Center students, unfortunately, or 8th grade ISTC students who are in National Junior Honor Society. But anyone over the age of 18 that wants to chaperone and pay the chaperone adult price can go. And so sometimes, mom, dad, and grandma want to go, that's fine. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is one of the only times students will have to go to Washington, D.C. The only time I ever went was my 8th grade trip. We haven't as a school been able to do this for 10 years, and I'm really excited to be able to do it this year. So here's all the information you need to know. Remember, save $50 if you sign up within the 48 hours. I also have scholarship for the first 20 students to sign up at this point. The trip number is 191358. I strongly recommend calling to register. And here's my email. You can email me with any questions that you have. I look forward to raising money and organizing when it gets time, picking roommates and getting excited about all the places that we're going to see. I think it'll be a really cool opportunity. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you register as soon as you can to take advantage of that $50 discount and the $50 scholarship. That'll pay for almost 15% of your trip right there. All right, have a great day.